Hey everybody, it's Mike. I'm back. And what do we got? We got hey, hello, how are you doing? Good to see you here in the chat. So I got a lot of things I want to talk about. I want to get into a couple things and I want to get right into it. Actually, let's see. My lighting kind of messed up. Okay. So I want to get right into it. So I want to get right to the opening here.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? So, hey, Glenn, good to see you. Glad you're here. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple things, and so the first thing I want to get to is the other thing, which is the Rath Yatra. So let's just go ahead and let's. I don't know if you've heard about this. If you haven't heard about it, this is what's going on. But if you have heard about it, this is like the news thing. Let's see.
Bring attention now to a horrific case that has come to light in Canada. Yet again, it seems that Hindu festivals are being targeted, are being attacked. India has in fact slammed this despicable and regrettable act. Now, what has happened, viewers? Eggs were hurled at devotees during the 53rd Rath Yatra in Toronto on the 11th of July. External Affairs Ministry has condemned the attack, called it shameful disruption of a peaceful spiritual procession that promotes unity. Now, the eggs were allegedly thrown from a residential building as ISKCON devotees sang bhajans in the streets. Videos show the aftermath, which is those smashed eggs on the road. But the devotees marched on. Now, why is it that this particular festival was targeted? And now, in fact, on this, former Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik has also stepped in. He urged strong action, saying it deeply hurt the religious sentiments of all those who participate in this Rath Yatra. And why is it that it's becoming a recurring thing as far as Canada is concerned? I want to put out those big questions that I'm putting forth on this story. Once again, a shocker of a story coming to light from Canada. First up, are Hindu festivals now easy targets in Canada? Are they the soft targets where you can throw eggs, you can disrupt anything, and then carry on as if nothing is going to happen? Second key question, is Mark Carney just another Trudeau repeat? What is it that the current Prime Minister of Canada has done to be able to arrest this repeated trend that continues, Canada's case streak that isn't ending? Third, the Khalistani terror, does it reign supreme in Canada? Is it above the law that nobody, no political party is able to rein in these Khalistani terrorists?
Okay, so enough with the India politics. I want to address the eggs thrown at the Rath Yatra in Toronto. Now, while I don't condone throwing eggs, although I have to admit, when I was a kid, we used to throw eggs. We used to throw eggs on Halloween. That's what we did. I'm not gonna lie. That's what we did. We were kids. We threw eggs at cars, and we threw eggs. You know, I never threw an egg at somebody's house, but I definitely threw eggs in a group at cars. In fact, there was a tradition where we would go stand at this one park, and it was like a gauntlet of kids with eggs, and any car that drove by, it was horrible. So, but I don't condone throwing eggs, okay? Even though I may have thrown a few eggs in my day, back in the day. I don't condone throwing eggs at Hare Krishnas, okay? Although I do understand, I understand the sentiment. I get it. You know, you lose a loved one to this cult, you lose your brother or sister or your daughter or your whoever and or your friend or whatever, and now they are acting like an asshole, and you're like, fuck these people. And then they come in and they come into your city with their chariot, whatever, and you're like, fuck these child molesting, this dangerous cult. And so they grab some eggs and they now you probably shouldn't be doing that. Okay, you shouldn't be doing you shouldn't be doing that. I don't condone that at all. But I understand. I get it. I understand. And somebody's upset, and then like, Chuck, let's throw some eggs at these a-holes. I get it. I really doubt. And now it could be just like anti-Hindu, like the lady is saying. You know, the media wants to portray it like it is some, like it's an assault on Hindus, which it could be. The people doing it, maybe they don't like Indians, and they don't realize that this is a cult. This is a white Hindu This organization is run by white people. It's run by white people, and this cult really has nothing to do with India, except it's using Hinduism as its vehicle to propel the cult. It's a cult. Cults need something. They need a mission. It doesn't have to be religion, but it has to be there has to be something there. There has to be like a mission. There has to be a leader and a mission. You know, it can be Scientology. It can be a multi-level marketing scheme or pyramid scheme, whatever it is. But usually it's a religion, because the religious people are easy to manipulate, and they're already believing in something, and you can just twist it, and you can manipulate them even more. So it's easy for cults to just latch on to a religion. You have a lot of different Christian cults, and you have Jewish cults, and you have Islamic cult. Yeah, there's Buddhist cults. There's all different cults. So it happens to be a Hindu cult. It happens to be a cult that is using Hinduism as its vehicle. And ordinary Hindus, like most likely, like this lady, she doesn't know. She has no clue. She's just like all the other Indians that are like, oh, it's a Hindu festival. They see the chariots and they go, oh, that's our religion. That's Hindu. I recognize that, and I recognize the statues on the cart, and I recognize that they're dressed like Indians, and I recognize the Bhagavad Gita, and I recognize these things as that's being part of my culture. So this is a Hindu festival. That's what they're thinking. It's a Hindu festival. It's not a Hindu festival any more than Jehovah's Witness, when they have some little festival that's a Christian festival, or Mormons, that's not a Christian festival, or any of these Children of God, or any of these weird Christian cults, Heaven's Gate, or whatever, some weird. Those are cult Scientology. Those are cult functions. This Roth Yatra in Toronto, that's a cult function. All you Hindus and Indians living in Toronto, you just don't know any better. You think it's a Hindu festival because they got some drums and everyone's dressed in a sari and tilak and dhoti. I mean, so I'm not saying it's your fault, but you're being misled. You're being misled. It has nothing to do with India. It's all about the cult. It's the cult books, the cult leader, the cult gurus. You go to this cult, you don't learn anything about India. You don't learn anything about India. All you learn about is the cult. And that's the truth. So So it could be either way. If it's racist people that think it's a Hindu festival and they're like, we don't like Indians, and they're throwing eggs at the Indians because they think it's a Hindu, it's an Indian festival, and they don't like the Indians, so they're throwing eggs at the Indians. That's racist. That's bad. Throwing eggs is bad, but it could be people that are like, this is a cult. This is a fucking cult, and we're throwing eggs at this cult, and they know it's a cult. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. So it's one or the other, and I who knows what it is. When I first, of course, when I heard this story about them throwing eggs at the Rath Yatra festival, I immediately figured, well, it was somebody that doesn't like the Hare Krishnas, somebody that knows it's a cult, and was throwing eggs at the cult. They're like, we don't like this cult. We don't like, it's like throwing eggs at Scientology. We don't like this cult. But the media wants to make it out like it is the media wants to make it out like it's a hate crime against Hindus, Indians and Hindus. And I'm not convinced that it is. I'm just not. It could be. I mean, I don't know how racist Toronto is. I don't know what the political climate is in Toronto that people would be coming out and throwing eggs at the Indians just because they're having a festival. I don't know. It could be. Could be. But I definitely understand. I definitely understand someone who's pissed off at the Hare Krishnas because they took their sister or brother or daughter or mother or husband or whatever, and they never see him again. Hey, I'm gonna throw some eggs at these guys. I mean, I understand that, but like I said, I don't. You shouldn't be throwing eggs. You shouldn't be throwing eggs. But I really like the idea that they're throwing eggs because the Hare Krishnas are vegetarians, and so you're throwing eggs at them, which is like a double whammy, and especially if you hit them with an egg. So that's what tends. I don't know. I tend to think that it's somebody that doesn't like the cult, and they know that it's a child molesting, woman hating, sexist, racist. And that was the other thing. She says, oh, this is a festival that promotes unity. What unity? What unity are they promoting? Normal people see them as the crazy Hare Krishnas dancing on the streets. Right. What do you say? What do you say? I'm sorry, I missed your comment. I'll tell you, most people don't like these goddamn Hare Krishnas. Yeah, most people don't like them. Most people don't know what they are, though. Most people don't know that it's a dangerous, extremist cult with extremist, racist, sexist views. They just think it's a religion that they don't want anything to do with. I don't want anything to do with your religion. They don't realize that it's like a friggin' syndicate, criminal organization with human trafficking and sexual abuse and domestic abuse, and they have this philosophy that women like to be raped, and women have small brains, and women are 9 times lustier than men, and blacks are ugly and belong in the jungle and shouldn't have been given freedom or civil rights. And Hitler was a great man. He was a gentleman, and he didn't kill 6 men. I mean, all this stuff. How is that stuff promoting unity and peace and love and whatever they think that they're not promoting anything like peace and love. They're promoting a lot of hatred and violence. They believe that if you talk bad about their gurus or whatever, that they can go and put a couple bullets in your head. And they have no problem with that. And then they go celebrate. Okay? They have a feast or whatever. You're going to tell me these people that do that, are promoting unity and love and peace and coming together and whatever? Fuck no, they're not. The fuck? These are some dangerous fucking people. They don't report, they don't turn people in when they're caught molesting kids. They worship them like they're fucking God. They got communities where they just let child molesters roam around. They'll go break child molesters out of jail. That's how much they like child molesters. Child molesters get caught, get thrown in jail, and these Hare Krishnas will go and break them out. Bribe the judge to let them out so he can run back to his farm in India and molest some more kids. And you think that they can just pull their fucking chariot down the street? Fuck yeah, people gonna throw eggs at them. What the fuck? Should be throwing more than eggs at them, although I don't condone it. And they got these people totally bamboozled. The fuck does she know? She don't know what this fucking cult is doing. She's just she's an anchor lady. What the fuck does she know? Hare Krishna's. Hate crime. Yeah, I fucking hate the Hare Krishnas. Fuck. They're fucking child molesting fucking gurus who fly around the world, think they're better than everybody like they're fucking God. Calling themselves holiness this and his grace that and fucking Guru Dave and Maharaj. What the fuck are these people? What the fuck, man? Here's another fraudster fucking this guy, man. Where's this friggin' thing? Look at this guy. New York City Mayor's citation celebrates Radhanath Swami's contributions. Fucking contribution has he done? The fuck has he done? Let's read and see. June 21, 2025, Radhanath Swami was honored with a prestigious citation from New York City's mayor office, presented by Deputy Commissioner Dilip Chauhan. Oh, it's an Indian guy. Gee, I wonder how that happened. During a special event for the Bhakti Center titled Foundation to Future. Foundation to Future? The citation recognized Radhanath Swami's exceptional contributions to spiritual upliftment, social service, environmental sustainability, and interfaith harmony, values exemplified by the Bhakti Center in New York City and transformative projects like the Govardhan Eco Village near Mumbai, India. Now, if you just take that at face value and you go, wow, sounds like he's done a lot. It sounds like he's done a lot. He has exceptional contributions to spiritual upliftment, social service, environmental sustainability, and interfaith harmony. I mean, sounds like he deserves an award, right? What the fuck has he done? Spiritual upliftment. What the fuck does that mean? What has he done? I can give spiritual upliftment when I warn you about not joining this fucking cult. That's all the spiritual upliftment you need. Where's my fucking award? Spiritual upliftment. This fucking charlatan con artist who's nothing more than a friggin' carnival barker. He gives spiritual upliftment? Social service? What social service does he, what the fuck does he do? What fucking service does he do for society besides sit on a fucking little stool, little wooden cushion, and lecture about fairy tales? Recite fairy tales and lecture about them. And then dance around like he's some fucking holy man, Chaitanya, throw some flowers around and wave some incense sticks around, and he's off to the next little fucking thing that he does. That's all he does. The fuck? How does that spiritually uplift anybody? And if you say it's spiritually uplifting you, you're full of shit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Washing his feet? Washing his feet does what? It injects knowledge into your head? You're following this guy around, man. You're the fucking, you win Biggest Loser. You're a bigger loser than him. What the fuck has he done? Bhakti Center. They won't even say Hare Krishna Temple. They want to say Bhakti Center. Because if he said Hare Krishna Temple, he wouldn't be getting no fucking award. Exactly, disgusting predators. If they threw eggs, it means that people are now standing up to a satiric show. I wish I knew more about I wish I could interview the people that threw the eggs. Like, hey, why'd you throw the eggs? I need I need to know. I need to know why. I need to know why you threw the eggs. New breathing technique. ISKCON are proactive at getting political visibility due to diversity and inclusion. Virtue signaling. It's PR for them. Yeah, it's all PR. Absolutely. Let's just say this New York City mayor is clearly living in La La Land. There's nothing holy about this cult that brings disgrace to its followers. Absolutely. Again, it's like I gotta ask this New York City mayor should be ashamed of promoting a predatory religion. I totally agree. And it makes me want to ask questions. It gives questions.
No, right now. I want to ask my questions now, and I want to have my answers now.
What is going on? What is going on? So he gets it was signed by Mayor Eric Adams. The citation praised his remarkable spiritual journey and the enduring inspiration he received from his guru A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Recognizing the many ways Radhanath has made a positive difference in New York and beyond. What the fuck has he done? Can you at least tell us what he's done? Give us 5 things he's done for New York. He's got a Bhakti Center where he rips off people and scams people. And what? What does he do? Sits there and acts like a holy man. So I know so many people are probably like asking. I hope you're asking. I hope you're asking. Like, who is this guy? Like, who is this carnival barker who thinks he's holy man? Who's getting citations from the city of New York, and is sitting there looking like I don't know what. Like, I don't know what that looked like. I don't know what that looks like, man. That is, but not that I'm, but anyway, I ain't trying to be a holy man, that's for sure. But I had to look this guy up, and I already know who he is. I already know who he is. I knew who he was back when I was in the Hare Krishnas. I joined in '92. I knew who he was by 1993. I already knew who this guy was. Wait, can you say a little more on GRS fall down? GRS, Giriraj Swami. Is that what you're talking about? Not Giriraj. Is it Giriraj? It looks like this news totally. I'm not sure who you're talking about. GRS. I'm not sure who you're talking about. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to go. So I went to Wikipedia. When you tell me who GRS is, I'll let you know who Giriraj. I'm not. I'll comment. I'll definitely comment. Giriraj Swami. I'd have to. I'd have to have my brain refreshed. I remember something. I'll talk about him definitely. But I wanted to say I went to Wikipedia and I looked up Dickie Slavin because that's his real name is Dickie Slavin, and he didn't know Radhanath Swami. So for those of you who are in Hare Krishnas and don't know who this Radhanath Swami is, although I don't know how you could be in ISKCON and not know who he is, but you probably don't know who he really is. Who Dickie Slavin is. So we're going to go over who he really is, and I'm going to show you how they just bullshit, how this is such bullshit. This is such bullshit. So it says Radhanath Swami, born December 7th, 1950. So the guy's 75 years old. He's wasted his entire life. But just listen to how they just want you to believe this. Again, it's this magical mystery tour. Everybody has this magical mystery tour life when they join the Hare Krishna. Somehow, everything in their life was leading up to this moment. So here we go. So Richard Slavin, born December 7th, 1950. But here's what it says about it. This is the synopsis of who he is. He's an American Hindu, Gaudiya Vaishnav guru, activist, and author. He has been a bhakti yoga practitioner and a spiritual teacher for more than 50 years. He is the inspiration behind ISKCON's free midday meal for 1.2 million school kids across India, and he has been instrumental in founding the Bhaktivedanta Hospital in Mumbai. He works largely from Mumbai and travels extensively throughout Europe and America. In the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he serves as a member of the governing body commission. And then it's got a quote by Stephen Rosen, who claims that he's a saintly person respected by the mass of ISKCON devotees today. I don't know if that's true. He's respected and considered a saintly person by his followers, but I don't know if that's a accurate statement. But it's interesting that in this first little synopsis that they have of him, it doesn't mention that he's a Hare Krishna guru or an ISKCON guru. It states that he's an American Hindu Gaudiya Vaishnav guru. He's an activist and an author, and he's been practicing bhakti yoga for 50 years. And he's the inspiration behind ISKCON's free midday meal for 1.2 million school kids across India. It makes it sound like nobody has ever thought of feeding kids before he came along. Like he was the first one who said, hey, you know what? We should feed school kids. And that's not true. But anyway, let's see. It says that he's been instrumental in founding the Bhaktivedanta Hospital in Mumbai. So funding a hospital in India, again, is like everybody does that. Every religion, it's not. But anyway, here's where it gets really, really stupid. So his biography, the early years, Richard Slavin. So I want to just point out how everything in here points to him being this holy man, like ever since he was born. Like if it was believable to say that he was born in a manger, on a full moon, with the three wise men came, They would have done it, but they couldn't because that one's been used already. So they came up with the next best one, and here's what it says. He was born on December 7th, 1950, in Chicago to Adele and Gerald Slavin, children of Jewish immigrants from Russia, Lithuania, Poland, and Romania. What happened here? Okay. He is... Oops. I'm sorry, man. This is crazy. He is Ashkenazi Jewish descent. In 1955, he and his family moved to the suburb of Chicago, Highland Park. In 1958, his father opened a dealership selling Edsels, which did not succeed. However, a car repair shop did succeed. Despite being well off at age 15, Richard chose to work, hoping to contribute to his family. As a child, Richard showed a tendency that he later called traces of my past life. He did not prefer eating at the table, but seated on the floor, as is customary in India. Oh, my goodness. A little kid sitting on the floor to eat. That's how how rare is that, right? Little kids wanting to sit on the floor to eat. When his parents forbade him to do so, he began to eat at the table standing. He hated the sight of meat and eggs, nauseated at their sight, and he often vomited after eating meat, something that took him several years to get accustomed to. From an early age, Richard realized that the materialistic way of life would never satisfy him and was attracted by poverty and simplicity. Oh, I'm sure he was. I'm sure that little Dickie Slavin was just addicted to poverty and simplicity. Absolutely. Although his parents were not religious, Richard developed an interest in religion and spiritual themes from his early years. At age 13, he passed the rite of bar mitzvah and received instructions from the local rabbi about how to pray. I wonder if he rejected all that bar mitzvah money that he got. I wonder if he just rejected all of that and said, "Hey, I got to live a life of poverty and austerity." Simplicity, so I'm going to reject all my bar mitzvah money. The thousands and thousands of dollars that his auto dealership dad, I'm sure he had a hell of a friggin' bar mitzvah, okay? This is hilarious. At age 13, he passed the rite of bar mitzvah. Okay, on his 13th birthday, his elder brother, Marty, gifted him the debut album of folk singing trio Peter, Paul, and Mary, who in their compositions opposed war and social injustice. But Richard was particularly impressed by their compositions about God. Okay, so he was a hippie. He had got a Peter, Paul, and Mary record on his 13th birthday. In 1965, he went to Deerfield High School, where he excelled in his studies in many fields. He was passionate about wrestling. He ended up on his school's team, won many fights. He dislocated his shoulder, and he decided to quit the sport. He washed cars. He was dissatisfied with the conditions of African Americans, and opposing the Vietnam War, he embraced the ideologies of Martin Luther King. So I wonder how that squares with what Prabhupada said about Martin Luther King. He said Martin Luther King was a failure. He didn't like Martin Luther King. He said black people were ugly, belonged in the jungles. He said they should never have been given freedom, that Abraham Lincoln was wrong for freeing the slaves. He said that the Americans were wrong for giving black people civil rights. He said black people were vicious. They're vicious animals, and they laughed about it. I played that. I read that conversation. All the conversations that Prabhupada had about Negroes. And you're going to tell me that little Dickie Slavin he embraced the ideologies of Martin Luther King, and he was dissatisfied with the conditions of African Americans, and then he started following Srila Prabhupada? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't jive. It just doesn't jive. The death of one of his close friends, age 16, in a car accident, made little Dickie Slavin think seriously about the meaning of life. At the same time, following the example of some of his peers, he plunged into the hippie counterculture. So he did become a hippie, like I said. He was a hippie. He grew his hair. He started smoking pot. So it doesn't say pot. He started smoking. But he was a hippie, so he plunged into the hippie counterculture. Summer of 1968, a sense of adventure led him to hitchhike to California. He went to the hippie Mecca, Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco. So he just dove right in to the drug counterculture of San Francisco. So here he was growing up religious. Evidently, he was growing, that's what it says. You know, he got his bar mitzvah, and he did this, and he wanted to live in poverty and simplicity, and he had all these spiritual themes, and then, you know, he liked Peter and Paul and Mary because they were singing about God, and then he let's see, whatever. Then he was into like civil rights and opposing the war, and got into Martin Luther King, and then he just got into being a hippie. Drugs, and he went to San Francisco, not just San Francisco, but Haight-Ashbury. In 1969, he enrolled in Miami-Dade College. He resorted to books on religion and philosophy. He was disillusioned with the materialistic values of Americans. He studied college, and then he started to meditate, and got into transcendental meditation. He actually chanted Om with great conviction, and then it helped him realize he needed to find a bona fide guru. Oh, gee, where does that term come from? Where do we hear the term bona fide guru? Like that's just a term that we all say every day, all the time. Like that's not coming out of Prabhupada's mouth, bona fide guru. In the summer of 1970, after the end of his first year in college, Richard attended a rock festival. I probably took some acid, performances by Jimi Hendrix, and there he met the Hare Krishnas. And they gave him a pamphlet with photos of Prabhupada on it. That summer, little Dickie Slavin dropped out of college along with a couple of friends, and he embarked on a trip to Europe. So even though he was living a life of poverty and he was a hippie, somehow he had the money to take a trip to Europe. And I don't care how, you know, how much of a hippie you are, you got to buy a plane ticket to get to Europe. And then you got to live in Europe, and you got to get around, and you got to live somewhere, you got to eat. Where'd that money come from? Oh no, he was into poverty and against the materialistic way of life. There's nothing more materialistic than taking a trip with your friends to friggin' Europe after you drop out of college. It's the most materialistic thing you can do. What are you saying here? Distribution of food is an excuse to pretend they care for society. Check out Radhakunja Temple in Vrindavan, Premananda Prabhu, also cooking and feeding everyone, and cosplaying as a holy man. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's PR. It's a big PR show. Absolutely. Feeding people. Anybody and everybody can feed somebody. That's not a big, feeding people is a big deal because people are hungry. They need to be fed. But going out and feeding people is not a big deal because it's easy to do and anybody can do it and everybody's doing it. There's a lot of people that are feeding food banks and shelters and temples. In India, every temple is giving away food. That's not a big accomplishment, giving away food in India. But for Dickie Slavin, it was a big deal. So what are you saying here? Radhakunja Temple in Vrindavan under Premananda has the most cases of actual women abuse since the 2000s, and now children. A guy recently came out saying he was molested there under this man. Yeah, and that's why I say Krishna cults. And I don't just say, it's not just ISKCON. It's these books. It's this Prabhupada. It's this cult with these 11-year-old gopis or 11-year-old girls or women. And women like to be raped. And women are 9 times lustier than men. And women have small brains. And Ramananda Roy, because he could control his senses, he could take a bath with little girls, and they could touch their private parts. It's in the books that he touched their private parts. Grown man, little girls. And because he's chanting and he's fixed up, he can go and just touch. No wonder Indra Yumna Swami thinks that it's okay to go touch a bunch of little girls and have them sit on his lap and touch them and grope them right in front of their mother. And nobody says anything. Because, hey, he's guru. But if I was at the friggin' LA City Library on Robertson Boulevard and I was reading to a bunch of little kids and I had a bunch of little girls come and sit on my lap and I was rubbing all over them, they'd lock my ass up. They'd lock me up. One of those mothers would say, hey, that guy's touching these little girls. That guy right there with the glasses. But Indra Yumna Swami, he does it right in front of everybody, and everybody just stand around like it's nothing. And he's got his hands all over this little girl, and you can see on her face, man, she doesn't like it. She's like, and the mom is right there, and the other lady's right there. And these fucking Hare Krishnas. No wonder they had a $400 million lawsuit. No wonder. It's insane. In their books. If you're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, I don't care what guru you got. If you're reading Chaitanya Charitamrita and you're reading about Ramananda Roy putting his hands all over those little girls and touching their private parts, because it says, Prabhupada says privates, that he touched their private, like, why is that in the books? Why did he have to put that detail in there? Because he wants you to know that if you chant Hare Krishna, you can touch a little girl and you won't even, it's okay. You can even touch their private part. You can touch it. If you're Ramananda Roy, and you chant your rounds, and you follow 4 regs, and you can go touch little girls. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like, hey, I don't even like to hear a woman's name. When I hear a woman's name, I get all agitated and freak out. But Ramananda Roy, that's my bud. And he goes and he takes baths with little girls. So if I can tolerate him, you know he's on the level. The fuck? They give out food by the tons every day. They're on Facebook posting pictures. Yeah, I've seen them. I actually went to the temple in Vrindavan to the big temple where they do the food for life thing, and I was not impressed. I was not impressed with all that whole thing. But yeah, it's Premananda Prabhu collects houses of Western young men, makes them monks, and yeah, that's what the cult does, and it does it whether it's ISKCON, Narayan Maharaj, or one of these other swamis. Doesn't matter. So here it goes on. It says, so Dickie Slavin traveled to Europe with his friend Gary Liss. Penniless, they stayed with anyone who would take them in, and often survived on just bread and cheese. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it. To cover basic expenses, Richard played the harmonica on the street and collected alms. I don't believe that either. I believe that he played harmonica on the street and collected alms, but I don't believe that that's what he. I don't believe that's what he was living on. No, no, not when he came from. Not when he. Not no. In Amsterdam, Richard met Hare Krishnas once again and spent some time in a commune. In England, he attended the rock festival Isle of Wight on August 30, 1970, witnessing one of Jimi Hendrix's last words. So I don't know, this thing with Jimi Hendrix, so this is like the second or third time he's mentioned Jimi Hendrix. So I guess he had somehow that figures into his thing. Arthritis therapy. Yeah, things that go on in India, that's a whole nother world over there. Like, you could get wrapped up in these thing, and I don't know, you don't want to get thrown into a river, you're tied to a rock or something. I don't know. So here it says that Lotiki Slavin, during his travels, he read books on Eastern spirituality and the Bible. He visited churches and monasteries, talked with priests and monks, met with Franciscan friars. He saw Catholic monks. He did pilgrimages to the Assisi in Athens. He was selling blood. I don't believe that either. By the time, so then, he had little interest in the way of the hippies, and he was drawn to spiritual life. So one morning while he was meditating, he heard a voice that told him to go to India, and he split up from his friend, and he took off. So Dickie Slavin took off to go to India through Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan. He met some Muslims. So as you can see, the narrative is that he's like on this journey, this spiritual journey since he was 5 years old, and it's all from going through bar mitzvah to sleeping on the couch to whatever, washing cars, and then he went to college and he dropped out, and then he saw the Hare Krishnas and he went to San Francisco, and he saw the Hare Krishna in San Francisco, saw Jimi Hendrix. He's like on this, and they all have this. They all have the same, like I said, magical mystery tour. So he gets to Afghanistan. He lived with a poor family because they felt bad for him, I guess. And he experienced culture shock. Happy people living in poverty. He met a blind boy who was the happiest person he ever met. So you can see how it's this narrative of that he's becoming this. All these experiences are turning him into this spiritual Frankenstein, I guess. He's getting a little bit of everything. And he's getting an arm from this place and a foot from this guy. And he's getting some Muslim basics, and he's getting a little of this in Afghanistan, a little bit of this in Athens, and he's talking to the Catholic monks, and he went to Francis of Assisi, and he's just like, he's just putting this monster together. And and so he met the blind boy. And then he took some powerful narcotic in Afghanistan that made him say, "I'm never taking drugs again." Of course, because you have to have the dark night of the soul, right, where he gets to his deepest, darkest point, and then there's nowhere to go but up. So he got to where he experienced the most powerful narcotic ever in life. And oh my goodness! And then he said, "Vowed I'm never doing that again." And then a Dutch woman tried to seduce him into sex. So he really had a dark night of the soul. His sex was just inconsistent with his spiritual quest. So he rejected the woman and he vowed to remain celibate. Oh my goodness, what an incredible person. And then he searched for a guru. So now he's wandering around Delhi and he becomes a vegetarian and he goes to a yoga conference. Oh my goodness. This is the most amazing story I've ever heard. He meets Swami Rami. He gets blessed by Swami Rami. He goes, he meets Swami Satchidananda, or a disciple of Shivananda. Oh my goodness. And then he actually got to hear a lecture by Krishnamurti. Oh my goodness, this is just blowing my fucking mind. And then he learned spiritual life cannot be superficial. Oh yeah, right. And then he's cleansing his heart, and then he went to some concert hall in New Delhi, and maybe Jimi Hendrix was there. No, not Jimi Hendrix. But let's see, he went to the Himalayas in search of a guru, and he got to Rishikesh. By the time I get to Rishikesh, he stopped for a few days with the Divine Light people, and then he, I don't know what did he do. He went to practice japa meditation, and then he ended up. He was on the banks of the Ganges, and he chanted Hare Krishna, and he met a sadhu who he threw all his Western clothes in the Ganges. Oh my goodness, it's getting intense. He threw his Western clothes in the Ganges, and for a month he just meditated on a rock. He only ate raw vegetables, fruits, and nuts. I don't know what all this means. Like, what is this supposed to mean? So he only ate raw vegetables, fruits, and nuts. And then he became acquainted with another sadhu who taught him a new technique of meditation. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. But he was unable to find a guru in the Himalayas. Oh man, this is all. So he continued to wander. Oh, okay, so he's still wandering. And then he went to Varanasi and he went to Bodh Gaya where Buddha was there. Of course, he got to go to where Buddha was. And then he went to Bombay and then he saw a poster of Prabhupada, of course. So, so then, let's see. So he went to the Hare Krishna program. He heard Prabhupada for the first time. He preached there. Dickie Simon wasn't ready yet. See, he wasn't ready yet. And then he parted ways with the Hare Krishnas. He kept wandering India. And he kept wandering in India from ashram to ashram and guru to guru. A few months later, he ended up in Mathura, a holy site for Vaishnavas, where, according to legends, Krishna was born. And, of course, he arrived on the day of Janmashtami. I mean, oh, my God, I can't take it. It is too much. He lived in Vrindavan. He was so close to Mathura, and he was in Vrindavan. You know, he wasn't a Hare Krishna, but he's in Vrindavan. I mean, isn't that amazing? I mean, how does that happen? And so then he's there, and he's there with Prabhupada's godbrother, Ban Maharaj. Oh my God, he's Swami Ban Maharaj. And so he gets named Rasin Krishna Das. Oh my God, he gets and by that time, little Dickie Slavin looked like a hermit with a skinny body and dreadlocks on his head. Oh my God, I don't believe that either. A few months later, Prabhupada came to Vrindavan with a group of American students. And listening to a lecture of the Hare Krishna Guru, Richard concluded that Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy was the most perfect, and that Prabhupada was a person who truly loved God. Now, okay. I got to stop there for a second. So he does all this searching, right? He's like, since he's 5 years old, he goes through all this. He goes through hell and high water. He goes through all this shit. He goes to Bodh Gaya. He goes to Varanasi. He goes to Kahandar. He does all this stuff with monks and Catholics and rabbis and who knows what, right? He's just the whole thing with Krishnamurti and Mathura and through all of that, it was Prabhupada. It was the sight of Prabhupada singing Bengali bhajans with strong religious feelings that left a strong impression on little Dickie Slavin. In his heart, Dickie Slavin felt that Prabhupada was the greatest of all gurus and saints he met during his wanderings in India. Prabhupada answered all of Dickie's questions, and he backed each answer up with scriptural quotations. Prabhupada walked his talk. But Richard Dickie Slavin decided not to join Krishna at that time. He reigned in Vrindavan. Then he came back to America, and he went to Amsterdam. Well, first he went to Amsterdam and London, and then he returned to his parents who had moved to Miami. And then he came in contact with the Hare Krishnas again, and he was convinced by the philosophy outlined in the books and personal examples of those living in New Vrindavan. Oh, so he went to New Vrindavan. I'm sorry, I missed that part. So Prabhupada asked him to stay in America and assist in the development of New Vrindavan under the guidance of Kirtanananda Swami. So Prabhupada told little Dickie Slavin, go work with Kirtanananda Swami. Got some surprises for you coming up. So little Dickie Slavin followed Prabhupada's counsel and settled in New Vrindavan, caring for cows, this sounds familiar, and reading Prabhupada's books in his spare time. Convinced of the philosophy, Dickie Slavin finally decided to accept Prabhupada as his guru. On February 11th, 1973, he accepted initiation from Prabhupada. Now, for the next 6 years, Radhanath never left New Vrindavan, contributing to developing the community. Radhanath followed the Hare Krishna practices, grazed cows, served the temple deities, and on 1 August 1976, he received from Prabhupada Brahminic initiation. So Dickie Slavin's been a Hare Krishna since 1973. So what is that? 52 years? Going on 53 years? In the first half of the 1980s, Radhanath lectured at several universities in Ohio and Pennsylvania and conducted courses on vegetarian cooking. In early 1982, a community leader, Kirtanananda Swami, offered Radhanath to take sannyas, the way of life of renunciation. The sannyas initiation ceremony was held in May 1982 in New Vrindavan. On accepting the vows of lifelong renunciation, Radhanath received the title of Swami and has since then is known as Radhanath Swami. Narcissism at its best. Oh my goodness. Nice fantasy story. Isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it just like I'm laughing hard right now. It's everyone's story on how mystical it was to find their guru. Yeah, everyone's got this same story, just different names, different places, just the same story. He's such a special soul. Prabhupada gave him importance. Prabhupada was the rug that tied the room together. Like, he got all that stuff, all those Muslims and Catholics and rabbis and drugs and hate ash. He got all of that, but he just did not have, he needed Prabhupada to just tie it all together. Radhanath Swami is a demon dressed in sheep's clothing. Let's see. When I see any of these orange saffron robes, I can only see the pure evil behind the people who wear them. I agree with you. I agree with you. It's like it's like we're having a sign that says, "I hate women. I'm a sexist asshole. I'm a racist piece of shit." That's what I see. That's exactly what I see. I'm a racist, sexist piece of shit. That's what I see. Um, it goes on. This is where it gets really good. In 1987, Kirtanananda Swami was expelled from ISKCON for various deviations. So it doesn't say what the deviations are. I guess you have to click. You have to click on something. But we all know what the deviations were. Little boys in his RV, in his camper, having devotees murdered, and a lot of stuff. The following year, all members of the community who remained faithful to Kirtanananda Swami, which included Radhanath Swami, were also expelled from ISKCON. In the 1990s, Kirtanananda faced several criminal charges, and in 1996 was sentenced to 20 years in prison for mail fraud. They only got him on mail fraud. He was brought up on a lot of different charges, and he was actually convicted. And then he was convicted. He was found guilty of like conspiracy for murder or something, and then I think it was overturned on a like technicality or something like that. They retried him and they got him for mail fraud, and he got 20 years for mail fraud. In 1994, Radhanath Swami returned to ISKCON. In the same year, he became one of the leaders of ISKCON and began to serve as a member of the governing body commission and an initiating guru. So he was a follower of Kirtanananda. In fact, Kirtanananda is his guru because Kirtanananda gave him sannyas, gave him the Swami title. So he's a disciple of Kirtanananda in a way. Not in a way, he's a disciple of Kirtanananda. Let's see, where is this? So here's a picture of this guy. Where he is. Here we go. So here he is at the. This is Kirtananda's corpse right there, his body. They're about to put him into a samadhi in India, and this is Radhanath Swami glorifying him. So that's his guru. This Kirtanananda is his guru. So that's who this guy really is. So his magical mystery a tour story. Let's see. Crown jewels of Prabhupada, full of crap and pure evil, just like Prabhupada. Full of shit, just like Prabhupada. Absolutely. These guys are fucking disgusting. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So yeah, so this Radhanath Swami's got this magical mystery story, and I have one too, actually. I have a story exactly like Radhanath, believe it or not. It's amazing that I have such a similar story. I was born, my parents were Catholic, and I went to church, starting from birth up until 10. And I went to catechism on Saturdays, and then when I was 10, I got my first Holy Communion, and I remember that day. Had to go up in front of the priest, and he put the little wafer thing on my tongue. And then after that, I kind of we didn't go to church much after that. I got disillusioned with the Catholic Church. And I kind of bounced around, and I didn't really have much, I read the Bible a little bit, you know, but I really wasn't religious at all. I didn't find any, you know, but then in high school, like I had this teacher named Mr. Simon, and he was really into spirituality and like Eastern philosophy and meditating on the light and the light within, and we're all connected through the light and this energy. And I really got into that. And I read some books on Krishnamurti, and I forget some other guy. I forget some other guy. But I used to see the Hare Krishnas around. I used to see him in Westwood. I used to see him in Venice Beach. Never talked to him or anything, but I'd see him. And then my brother moved into the building across the street from the LA Temple on Watsika Avenue. And I used to go visit my brother when I was a little kid. I was like, I don't know, elementary school. And I would see the Hare Krishnas on Watsika Avenue. And my brother lived in a building that eventually became, the Hare Krishnas bought it eventually. But I didn't join then, but I did see him. I used to see him there all the time. And I used to see him in Hollywood and Westwood and Venice Beach. And then years later, you know, in the 80s, you know, I got married. I had a daughter, and I was kind of bouncing around. I didn't really have any religion at all. But I was kind of like on this spiritual journey, kind of looking for something. Not really looking, but kind of just open to different things. You know what? Who knows what's going to happen? And then I met this guy, and he gave me a book. And I read the book, and it was Bhagavad Gita. And next thing you know, I became a Hare Krishna. And then I go to India, and I meet more devotees. And I come back and I meet Yashodanandan, and he gives me initiation. And he gives me my name, Sri Mukunda Das. Now I'm Sri Mukunda Das. I got a shaved head, I'm a dhoti and tilak and bead bags, I'm chanting. And I remember it was so magical and mystical. Just like Radhanath. I didn't go to Europe or anything. I didn't have rich parents to send me to Europe. Vacation, take 6 months to go to Europe, drop out of college. I didn't have rich parents that could send me to college, and then I could just drop out and then go to San Francisco and then go to Europe. I mean, that's a pretty privileged life. I mean, you know, he makes it sound like he was poor and he was addicted to poverty and he was this and that. Nah, I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it for 1 minute. I'm not buying it for 1 minute. This guy's a scammer, charlatan. I don't believe any of that crap. I believe this is who he is. A guy that will go and glorify his guru, even though his guru was molesting little kids. All kinds of abuses going on in New Vrindavan. Ordering people to getting shot in their cars in Los Angeles. That whole community had a party after the guy was shot. All of these guys. The whole community, they just started partying. And here are the two top guys of that New Vrindavan. The dead guy here in the box and the bald guy here praying to him. That's these guys. These scammers. Getting citations from the City Hall of New York. This guy. Citation celebrates Radhanath Swami's contributions. I say again, fucking contribution. What the fuck has he ever contributed to anything? Piece of shit. He ain't done nothing but cause so many families pain, suffering, trauma, children worshiping gurus that are friggin' molesters. People that are molesting them in their schools, they got to bow down and touch their feet. little girls being forced to go sit on Indradyumna's lap while he rubs his hands all over their bodies. Disgusting. Thinks he's Ramananda Roy. They all do. They all think that they're freaking above everything. They think they talk to God. Krishna talks to them. All a bunch of bullshit. I know the condos across the LA Temple. Crazy that your brother happened to live there. Yeah, he lived. You know, it's funny because I was a little kid. Okay, I was like 11, 12 when my brother lived in those buildings, and it was like in the early 70s. So that the temple was there, but they hadn't bought those buildings yet. And I remember going to my brother's building, and I remember what building it was. I remember what apartment it was. I remember the exact location of his apartment in the exact building. It's like I remembered where it was. And when I became a Hare Krishna, and I was hanging out there because I worked in the building next door. I worked in the ITV in the building where ITV was. Actually, it wasn't the building next door. It was the same building. I worked in the same building that my brother lived in, but my brother's apartment was in the back. It was on the left side in the back, and it was actually Kusakrata's apartment. Kusakrata was an old-time Prabhupada disciple, and he was like the Sanskrit guy. Like, he could write and speak Sanskrit. So he was like this really knowledgeable guy as far as language and Sanskrit and books. Like he was so good at Sanskrit that he was translating books. He was translating like the Goswami's books and different books. He was translating them. Kusakrata was his name. He passed away. He was a really nice guy, but he was like, he kept to himself. He was not like an outgoing guy. He was like a hermit kind of guy. He lived in my brother's apartment, and I didn't know at the time. I didn't even think about it. And then one day I thought about it, and I was like, hey, I am going to go check out his apartment, see if I can locate it, because it was a big building. So I went, and by memory, because it was, a long time ago when I was a little kid. And I went and I found the apartment, and I was like, oh, this is, and it was Kusakrata's apartment, because someone told me, they're like, oh, that's Kusakrata's apartment. And they're like, he's kind of weird, don't bother him or anything. But one day we had to go because of one of the videos we were working on. We had to go talk to him about something. And I had to go to his apartment, and I knocked on his door, and it was kind of a weird thing. I was like, oh, this takes me back to when I was a little kid. And I knocked on his door, and he opened his door, and his apartment was like he was like a hoarder of Vedic stuff. It was a hoarder of books and papers and everything Krishna. And he just had like it was like overflow. His apartment was overflowing with stuff. But I kind of peeked in. When he opened the door, I kind of peeked in, and I was like, oh wow, I remember this apartment. It totally was like flashback to when I was a little kid. Anyway, that's my LA apartment story, my LA apartment building story. But it was kind of weird that I used to go to that building, go to that street, see the Hare Krishnas there when I was a little kid. And then years later, I become a Hare Krishna, and I'm there all the time. And then I moved into the community, and I lived around the corner from that building, actually. So that's my magical mystery story. And if you want to tell it in a magical mystery way, I could say, it was Krishna's arrangement. It was Krishna's arrangement that day I had to go talk to Kusakrata. And, it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's energy that made him, open the door, and I got to see whatever. I could totally turn it into some Magical mystery tour. Institutionalized lawlessness. Yes, because they're not accountable to anybody. They're only accountable to themselves. If you're a guru or temple president, you don't answer to anybody. Swavas doesn't answer to anybody. Radhanath doesn't answer to anybody. Indrayumnas doesn't answer to anybody. Well, they answer to the GBC, but the GBC is not going to do anything, because if they do anything, then they'll just leave and take all their followers with them. So what are they going to do? Can do whatever they want. Sri Dayananda can do whatever he wants. If he doesn't want to wear guru clothes and he wants to wear jeans and a polo shirt, who's going to tell him he can't do that? If he wants to call his thing Krishna West and say, you know, you don't have to follow, you can follow 3. Who's going to tell him? What are they going to do? If Indrayumna Swami is like, they go, hey, you know, we don't want you hanging around all these little kids anymore. And he's going to be like, well, what are you talking about? I'll bounce out. I don't have to be in ISKCON. I can go. I don't need ISKCON. I got my followers. I got my temple. I got half of Ukraine and half of Poland. I got all of Poland, half of Ukraine. What do I need? What do I need you for? That's why these guys do all this stuff. Because like, Lokanath can touch little girls. Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Is they're going to just cover it up. They can put a hit out on somebody, and what's the word, you know? One guy goes to jail because he wasn't smart enough to leave the country fast enough. Because his wife was like, well, you know, I don't know if I want to go. Otherwise, he would have been. If they had just got him the money, and he had gotten on a plane that day, he would have been in India. It would have been over. It would have been gone, done. No. Instead of doing that, he flew to Ohio, and then from Ohio he flew to North Carolina, and then from North Carolina, whatever, and then Hare Krishna are the smartest people in the world, but they are crazy, and they are violent, and they are dangerous, and they are racist, and they are sexist, and they will molest children, and they will do all of that stuff. So that's the warning. That's the warning. And they'll scam you out of your money, like this guy. Don't send him any donations. He's got the whole city of New York fooled. He's got this guy fooled into giving him an award. For what? For what? What has he done? What has he done for anybody? Piece of shit. Piece of shit. Anyway, that's my show for today. Thanks for that's the class is over. Let me do the where's the bell? There you go. Class over. So anyway, I hope you learned something about this scammer and the Rath Yatra festival still going on. Don't throw eggs. Don't throw any eggs unless you know who you're throwing them at and you hit them. Because if you hit the wrong person, that's not right. So don't throw eggs don't throw eggs, okay? Crooks. They're crooks. They're con artists. They're con artists. And they get away with it. And they get away with it. And the only thing we can do is warn people. The only thing you can do is warn people. The more people you warn, then the less chance they have of getting the next guy. So that's the importance of it. So everybody, please like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Spread the word. I want to thank everybody because my viewership is going up. A lot of people are watching. A lot of people are sharing the videos, I guess, because the algorithm is great. So I want to thank everybody for that. It's really important to warn as many people as we can. And and just stop people from joining. Stop people from joining. And if you're in it, you can always leave. Okay, if you're in it and you have any questions, you can email me. You can get my email off my channel. If you have any questions at all and you don't want to do it in the chat, or you're afraid, or you just don't know what to do, you can email me and I'll reply. I'll help you out. I'll answer any questions you have, and I'll do whatever I can to help you out. So please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day, great night, great morning, great afternoon, wherever you are. Have some great luck, and please stay out of a cult, everybody. And oh yeah, and of course, closing credits, so you can see me as a Hare Krishna.